Hello everybody, get ready to do lesson 1.7 Algebra 2 Part 2 today we have a 26-point skill sheet for classwork. We have no note-taking today in Part 2. And what we have here is solving equations. The method of completing a square can be used to solve any quadratic equation. When you complete a square as a part of the solving an equation, you must add the same number of the equation. You must remember that. So example 3 here, solve x squared minus 12x plus 4 by completing the square. How do we go about doing that? Well, right left side in the form of x squared plus bx, so we move over our c to the right side, so we subtract 4 from the sides. And then what we have here is we add 1/2 of negative 12 over 2 and then square it, which is what? 6. Be negative 6 squared to both sides. So we have 36 we add to this side, 36 we add to this side. So then we end up with this. We end up with a perfect square trinomial over here. X minus 6 squared equals 32 when we combine these two. And then so now we can take the square root of both sides, and then we get x minus 6. This square goes away, and we have radical 32 plus or minus radical 32. And then we move over our 6 over to the other side, so now we have x equals 6 plus or minus radical 32 would be our solution. So 6 plus or minus 4 times square root of 2 is simplify radical 32. And this is the factoring of it, and this becomes 4 times radical 2 here, plus or minus 4 times radical 2. So we have 6 plus 4 times radical 2, and then 6 minus 4 times radical 2. Check, you can use algebra or a graph. You can use a graphing calculator. This is the graph of this quadratic, and here are your solutions here. And we have one solution here and then one over here. So 0.34 will be 6 minus 4 times square root square root of 2 will be here. And then 6 plus 4 times square root of 2 would be 11.66. So it checks on a graphing calculator. Now, our guided practice, students. Let's do this now in class, and then your independent practice on your own. Pay it. So you can do yours. Solve the equation by completing the square. We have x squared plus 6x equals negative 4. We move this over here so we can set up taking 1/2 of this and squaring it, which is 9. We add that to both sides. Negative 4 plus 9. 1/2 of 6 squared is 9. Now we have a perfect square trinomial over here, x plus 3 squared. We combine these two terms. So now we take the square root of both sides. We have x plus 3 equals plus or minus radical 5. We move our x over here to get our final solution, negative 3 plus or minus radical 5. And then the solutions are here, negative 3 plus radical 5 and negative 3 minus radical 5. So are we going to check that? Well, we could. You should check it. We're not going to check it. We're going to go right on to example 4. 2x squared plus 8x plus 14 equals 0. We're going to solve this by completing the square. Here's our original. So we're going to move over our negative 14 here, I hope. Divide each side by a coefficient. So first we're going to reduce it down. We're not going to move this over. We're going to first factor out a 2 out of our quadratic here, and we end up with this situation. And we're going to move over our 7, aren't we? We're going to move over our 7 then. So we'll get x squared plus 4x equals negative 7. And then we take 1/2 of 4 and square it and add it to both sides. So we get x squared plus 4x plus 4, negative 7 plus 4. So we have a perfect square trinomial here. X plus 2 squared equals negative 3. Combine these two. Take the square root of both sides. Only thing is we got to imagine here. What in the world are we going to do with that? So we have negative 2 plus or minus radical negative 3. So we pull out our -1, and then this becomes -2 plus or minus I times radical 3. Solutions are -2 plus I radical 3 or -2 minus I radical 3. Okay, solve this by completing a square. Beware, you might have an imaginary number here. Students, you might have the same thing down here. But it looks like what? That's the same problem we had in our solution, in our example, wasn't it? No, it's not. N squared minus 2n minus 7. So now we're going to move over our 7. We have this situation here ready to halve it and square it. So to do that, 1/2 of 2 is 1. We square it. We add it to both sides. We get n squared minus 2n plus 1. We have a perfect square trinomial here. Plus 1 equals 8 on that side. N minus 1 squared equals 8. Take radical both sides. N minus 1 equals plus or minus square root of 8. We move over our 1. N equals plus or minus radical 8. So n equals 1 plus or minus 2 times radical as our solution. So here's our solutions here. And that was 1.7 part 2 of Algebra 2 Math. Thank you.